Is Moloch being summoned from ancient times into the modern world? Is such a thing even possible? The exhibition in progress at the Colosseum in Rome features a reconstruction of a statue of Moloch, a terrible ancient deity associated with mass child sacrifice, that greets visitors at the entrance of the historical site. Prior to the Phoenicians, the Hebrew Bible identifies Moloch as a god of the Canaanites and was associated with child sacrifice, either through fire or war. And God constantly forbade and warned the Jewish people of worshiping or sacrificing to Moloch. And when they fell into temptation, their society fell alongside their righteousness. Parco describes the Moloch statue as, quote, a reconstruction of the terrible deity Moloch, and will be stationed at the entrance to the Colosseum to welcome visitors to the exhibition. The statue was positioned in a prime spot where everyone who entered had to pass it and be subject to the perception of its powerful presence. The statue of Moloch displayed by Parco's exhibition at the Colosseum is an identical replica of the statue of the same deity constructed for the 1914 silent Italian film Cabiria, which is set during the Second Punic War of the 3rd century BC, a war regarded by ancient historians as the greatest war in history, and the film was released just 2 months before the breakout of World War I, which is undoubtedly one of the greatest wars of modern times. The 1914 production portrays heinous religious rituals where children are offered up as sacrifices to a giant bronze Moloch statue, depicted as a humanoid bull, where they are burned alive in a furnace compartment, built into the statue as a chest cavity. The screenwriter and primary creative force of the film was Gabriele D'Annunzio, an author and Italian elitist with a severe case of megalomania, who essentially invented fascism, predating Mussolini and Hitler, and introduced Italy to nihilism. He felt that representative democracy was too bourgeois for him, and it lacked a dramatic arc over the centuries. Essentially, he thought the average person was too dumb for democracy to work, and therefore, D'Annunzio called it a foolish endeavor. He felt the state should just get out of the way of all the brilliant people who lust after power, and that perpetual imperial expansion would help continue the beautiful and glorious wars around the world. D'Annunzio believed that a country was sustained by faith, not trust. Therefore, instead of trying to govern kindly or honestly, he thought a political leader should act like the head of a religion, not simply as a pope, but as a messiah to the governed. After serving in World War I, he resurrected the Roman straight-armed salute that would later be plagiarized by Hitler and the Nazis. Also in sync with fellow fascist Hitler, D'Annunzio was known to take a lot of cocaine. Just 9 days after the statue was erected, the Amazon Synod was opened at the Vatican Gardens, where the Pope and other top-ranking Catholic officials took part in a pagan ritual where shaman worshipped the fertility god Pachamama, represented by wooden statues of pregnant women. A statue of child sacrifice soon followed by the worship of fertility symbols that represent and celebrate procreation? What is going on in Rome? Even though Moloch feasts on the flesh of children in its fiery furnace, Moloch still needs God's creation, the fruits of fertility, before consuming the children as sustenance to survive. And despite its relevance fading into history, the revival of Moloch, the fallen deity, only opens the door to a future of an unconscionable past. This is Brian Wilson with Infowars.com.
Power. This pagan god is still worshipped by the elitists who offer sacrifices to it.
Moloch, for those who don't know, is the Illuminati favorite deity that's sacrificed to every July in the Bohemian Grove, pictured here, in the form of burning a life-size human effigy, at least in more modern times. Lord knows what they were doing in the past. Burning it at the altar of this big cement, stone-like idol that is built in the middle of their forest.
This is an elaborate, occult, ritualistic entry into this group that they are now a member of for life.
This culture of death and the occult continues long after college. Later on in life, these pagan rituals carry on in the redwoods of Sonoma, California.
And what is the Bohemian Grove? Well, it's a kind of summer camp for the powerful, an all-male gathering in great secrecy.
This group was formed in the late 1800s by artists, industrialists, and politicians. Bohemian attendees worship the owl as their deity. The Aztecs, Mayans, and other natives of Mesoamerica considered the owl a symbol of destruction and death. This is why the opening ritual for the club is the cremation of care. During the ritual, the effigy of a baby is rowed across the water by the Grim Reaper and given to a high priest, who then tosses it on a fiery sacrificial altar of a 40-foot owl god. It is an earth-based ritual in which care is burned away. The conscience is symbolically cast aside so that they may ignore the pain they have inflicted on others for the advancement of their own agendas.
With this ceremony called the cremation of care, that begins the two-week encampment where the body of dull care, symbolizing woes and concerns, is burned on an altar in front of a big owl statue. When that ceremony ends, they all start to cheer and yell.
You have to ask yourself why it is that somebody would want to do that, let alone these elite people. And if you look at the elite throughout history, many of the people that achieve pinnacles of power are into the occult. They seek a supernatural way to gain power.
Hello there, this is Yibo, and in this video I'm going to be exposing the 1914 silent film Cabiria for presenting children being sacrificed to Moloch. With the intro out of the way, let's get right into the video, shall we? The scene in question shows Masonic pillars with owls carved into them with a statue of Moloch in between the two. You also see a Masonic robe, and earlier in the movie, you see Masonic tiles, as well as a blanket. Now I want to issue a warning for this next scene, only because I know some of you are not going to want to watch it. A child is sacrificed to Moloch, and it is disgusting. This is how they show in plain sight what they do. People are then seen cheering as the sacrifice was made. The thing that even makes this scene more disgusting and horrible to watch is the fact that there was more than one child being sacrificed. There were multiple being prepared. Yibo out.